Firstly, I suppose this is a memorial for a memorial. This building is a memorial to Abraham Hewitt, who was truly one of the giants of the 19th century. Peter Cooper's son-in-law, an ironmaster, but more importantly, the person who really managed Cooper Union really from 1860 all the way through to his death in 1903. He had a remarkable ability to have a daily hands-on management style with this place, even though he was a congressman for 9 years, he was the mayor of New York City for 1 year. If you go through the receipts of this place, he actually looked at pretty well every invoice for 40 years. And more importantly, he had a much better idea than Peter Cooper about what should happen in this place. That is, it was he who designed his sequence course in mathematics and sciences. It was he who tried to push this place to offer baccalaureate degrees rather than simply offer the Peter Cooper Medal. He had always before his mind the idea that this would be a thoroughgoing polytechnic institute and a thoroughgoing art school as well. So we actually have to thank him for Cooper Union rather than Peter Cooper. I think that I hope it's not heresy to say that, but when he died in 1903, some of the great and good of New York got together to produce a memorial for him, and there are many memorials throughout the city. There's a school in the Bronx, still the Abraham S. Hewitt School. There was a fire tug in operation until 1955. And then there's this building. And so when this building goes, I suppose the fabric goes, but we will try and keep his name alive. He's a truly extraordinary person. And he also was very important in New York City politics. For those of you who are interested in, for instance, the IRT, how that got going, he really is the father of New York City Transit. He was very active in the municipalization of gas. And he thought that the city's infrastructure should be owned by the city and should not be in private hands. That hasn't occurred, but he was very, very pro the municipalization of services. So this building really gets going as a plan among the trustees before Abraham Hewitt's death. If you look at the trustee minutes from 1896, in fact, the very moment that the statue of Peter Cooper was unveiled, the trustees start talking about actually making a new school, and that school will be a day school of engineering. There had been a night school of science and night school of art, but they say the one thing that was left over from Peter Cooper's kind of statement of mission and statement of purpose was this thoroughgoing Polytechnic Institute. Something odd happens. 1 year later, the New York City Board of Education proposes to Cooper Union to found a high school here, a technical high school. And for 2 years, the trustees interestingly struggle over the issue of whether this thing called a thoroughgoing Polytechnic Institute really means a high school or a college, because it wasn't clear what that meant, and certainly in Peter Cooper's time, it would be very difficult to say where high school stopped and college began. But there was one person in the United States who knew exactly what a high school was and knew exactly what a college was, and that was Andrew Carnegie, who is known as, of course, a great benefactor and steel magnate, but he also endowed something called the Carnegie Endowment for Education, which made it his business to tell people that American education had 4 years of high school and 4 years of college. Not an easy thing to persuade people of, but he was successful in that, and so our current educational system is largely due to the Carnegie Endowment. Andrew Carnegie gives $300,000 to Cooper explicitly to start a college, not a high school. And that, amazingly enough, shifts the trustees' understanding of what should happen. So now then they had, as it were, a death in the family, and then with Abraham Hewitt's death, and then they started to try and fundraise for the new building. Now, the trustees are very upset that the alumni don't seem to be giving them money. They're not being liked. And in fact, the word was out in New York City that Cooper didn't need any money because it was a very wealthy establishment already. And in fact, they thought that it was up to the Cooper family to give the money. And indeed, that's actually somewhat the case. So by 1910, there was an endowment of $4 million, and 2.25 of that had been given personally by the family itself. So they start to get the first capital campaign going to actually start the building. And they managed to secure what they thought was enough to start it, which was $120,000, and they got up to $300,000, which was precisely enough for 2 stories. Where it ended, and that's the construction history.